Go ahead, think back to your first birthday party. Can you see it? The cake, the candles, maybe that one relative who always pinched your cheeks. You might swear you remember the crinkle of the wrapping paper or the taste of the frosting. It feels so real, right? Like an old home movie playing perfectly in your head. Well, what if I told you that memory is probably fake? What if your brain, the very thing that builds your identity, is also a master storyteller, constantly inventing and tweaking your earliest memories? You think you have a perfect record of your past, but science says you're probably wrong. So let's spend the next few minutes figuring out why your own brain is tricking you, what the truth about your past really is, and what that means for who you are today. Let's start with a concept that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but is totally human: infantile amnesia. For pretty much everyone, the first few years of life are a complete blank. Most of us can't remember anything before we were 3 or 4, and things stay pretty fuzzy until around age 7. You might think you remember learning to walk, but the odds are overwhelmingly against it. So why is that? It's not just because it was a long time ago. The reason is biological. Think of your infant brain like a brand new smartphone. The camera hardware is all there, but the photo gallery app, the part that saves and organises pictures, is still downloading. It might snap a few pictures, but they aren't being saved to a permanent searchable album, because the parts of the brain responsible, especially the hippocampus, are still under construction. This developmental timeline lines up almost perfectly with the period we can't remember. So where do those vivid memories of being a toddler come from? They're constructions. They're a patchwork quilt stitched together from photos you've seen, stories your family has told on repeat, and your own imagination. You've heard the tale of your first birthday so many times that your brain, being incredibly efficient, just went ahead and created a little movie of the event and filed it away as a real memory. It's not a lie, it's a reconstruction. This gets at one of the biggest myths about memory. We love to think of our brain as a video camera, accurately recording life as it happens. But modern neuroscience shows that's completely wrong. Your memory isn't a recording, it's a performance. Every single time you recall an event, you aren't just hitting play. Your brain acts like a police sketch artist, rebuilding that memory from a fading description. And each time you redraw it, your current mood or a new piece of information can change the sketch. You might make the eyes a little sadder because you're feeling down today, or add a scar you heard someone else mention. After a few redraws, the final sketch might look quite different from the original person. This is especially true for childhood memories. Kids' minds are like sponges, and their memories are incredibly flexible. Let's say you fell off your bike as a kid. Your actual memory was probably just terror and scraped knees. But if your parents kept telling the story of how brave you were, your memory of the event can slowly transform. The fear fades, and a little bit of pride creeps in. You're not just remembering the fall, you're remembering the story of the fall. And over time, the two become impossible to separate. If the idea of your brain as an unreliable narrator is making you a little uneasy, hold on, because it's not just that memories get distorted. Entirely fake ones can be planted in our minds with shocking ease. This was the life's work of Dr. Elizabeth Loftus, a cognitive psychologist who basically changed the game on how we understand memory. In the 90s, she ran a now famous experiment called the Lost in the Mall study. Here's how it worked. Researchers gave participants a booklet with a few true childhood stories from their family, plus one totally fabricated one. A detailed account of getting lost in a mall around aged 5. This fake story was like a doctored photo someone secretly airdropped into your phone's camera roll. Because it looked like it belonged there, nestled among real pictures, it became believable. The results were wild. About a quarter of the participants came to believe they actually remember this fake event. Some even started adding their own rich details, like what the person who found them looked like or how they felt. Details no one had given them. They had created a vivid emotional memory of something that never, ever happened. This study, and hundreds more like it, prove a mind-bending point. We are all susceptible to misinformation. Just being told a plausible story by someone you trust can be enough to create a brand new, seemingly real memory. In another study, researchers convinced 58% of kids they had taken a hot air balloon ride just by showing them fake photos and telling them to imagine it. The line between what we remember and what we imagine is incredibly thin. You might be thinking, okay, maybe some boring memories are fake, but what about the really emotional ones? The ones that are burned into my brain? And you're right. Emotional events are often remembered more clearly than that time you ate oatmeal for breakfast. The adrenaline that floods your system can act like a save button, strengthening the memory. But strong emotion is like a powerful spotlight. While it brilliantly illuminates the centre of the event, it casts surrounding details into deep shadow. It makes our brain focus on the gist of what happened, the core feeling, but not the nitty-gritty details. This makes it easier to slip in things that fit the emotional tone but aren't quite true. Think about a major public event like 9/11. People often have flashbulb memories where they feel they can recall exactly where they were and what they were doing with perfect clarity. But when researchers track their recollections over time, they find that the stories change. A year later, key details, who told them the news, who they were with, are often different from their initial reports. The emotional core of the memory is real and strong, but the details in the shadows are rebuilt and often incorrectly. So, who cares if your memories are a little fuzzy? This isn't just a fun psychological quirk, it has huge consequences. For starters, our identity is built on the story of our past. If those foundational stories are a mix of fact and fiction, what does that mean for who we are? It suggests our identity isn't some fixed monument to the past, but a living story that we're constantly editing and rewriting. The implications are even more serious in the legal system. For decades, eyewitness testimony was seen as the gold standard of evidence. But thanks to the work of Dr. Loftus and others, we now know that eyewitnesses can be tragically unreliable. What's scary is that their confidence in their memory has almost zero connection to its accuracy. Brain scans even show that a false memory can look and feel identical to a real one. It's like having two computer files named Beach Trip. One is a real video, the other is a CGI rendering. But to your brain's filing system, they look identical. After all this, should you just toss out your family albums and call your entire life story a lie? No, not at all. The point isn't to have an identity crisis, but to develop a little humility and a lot of wonder about how our minds work. Your memories are yours. They are meaningful, whether they're 100% accurate or not. The fact that your memory is reconstructive isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's what lets you learn, grow, and weave new experiences into your life's narrative. It's how we find positive meaning in past struggles, which is essential for our mental health. Our memories aren't just about keeping a perfect record, they're about creating a story that gives our lives meaning. That flimsy curtain between memory and imagination is part of what makes us human. It makes us creative, storytelling creatures. So the next time you think about a cherished childhood memory, you don't have to throw it away. Instead, just appreciate it for what it is, a beautiful, personal, and incredibly complex piece of art, created by the most fascinating machine in the universe, your brain. What's a childhood memory you've always wondered about? Is there one that feels a little too perfect, or one that nobody else in your family remembers in the same way? Share your story in the comments below. And if you want to keep exploring the mysteries of your mind, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching.